Hello again, everybody. Dan John here from danjohnuniversity.com. This is our 67th podcast. Still knocking them out. Well, we have a question from Logan. It's nice to hear from you, Logan. Utah State University is based in Logan, Utah. And that was information you don't need to know. What are your thoughts on running Mass Made Simple Light for 5 or 6 weeks as a segue into Mass Made Simple? Essentially turn it into a full 12-week program in 2 phases. Well, Logan, it's an interesting question. The only reason I would say not to do it, now, I like it, and if you do it and you have the greatest progress in world history, you're right, I'm wrong, you win. But generally, most people, the most successful people who've done the program, do exactly like the book says and try to lean out for a few weeks. Now, we've had people do the velocity diet before doing Mass Made Simple and made some really interesting progress. I'm not recommending the velocity diet. I'm just saying after doing 6 protein shakes a day for 28 days, you completely change your relationship with nutrition, and it seems to help a lot. I think you should lean out first. Now, on the site, Dan John University, we have Lean Made Simple. You might want to try that. It's a nice program. And it really does tie in well. In other words, we've already built the platform for you. The problem with Mass Made Simple Light is it was done for an article for T Nation. We tried it. It works. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's just a traditional bodybuilding program. Personally, I would suggest, and this is my suggestion to you, try leaning out first and then going into it. At the end of those 6 weeks on Mass Made Simple, sit back for a week or 2 with traditional normal workouts, 3 whole body bodybuilding workouts a week for 2 weeks, and then sit back and tell me what you thought. Okay? Thank you. So if you want to do it, do it. I can't stop you. But this doesn't really reflect the experience of myself and the people who followed it. Thank you. We have a question from Tino. He says, my question is about kettlebell progressions. Since being in quarantine, I've been doing a lot of single kettlebell work using 30 pounds and 45 pounds. It has been about 5 months, and I feel I can move into work with doubles. Wow. When would you say is the best time to move into double kettlebell work? And should I invest in an additional 30-pound kettlebell or something in the higher weight range like double 35s? A couple issues. First, Tino, I don't know your size. I don't know your gender. I don't know a lot. It seems to me that double 35s for a male are pretty light. But for a female, that's not a bad workout. The armor building workout with double 16s, 35 pounds, for a woman is an eye-opener, I'll tell you that. Generally, I tell people this. You buy kettlebells in this order. You get one to start with, you get one a little heavier, and then you get one a little bit heavier. Then when you buy doubles, you buy double the medium one first. Very often, people find out that those 4 kettlebells, a light, a medium, a heavy, light, double, medium, heavy, is a great little combination and just about takes care of all your needs. Interesting from there, I then tell people to get the 2 heavies. So I would say get a heavier kettlebell and then double up those 45s. If you are, that's just not going to work out, the double 35s is probably a good answer. A lot of people have made a lot of good progress doing lots of doubles, front squats, presses, those kinds of things with those double 35s. I hope that helps. We have a question from Raul. I like your idea of the 3 sets of 8 using the push, pull, hinge, and squat as the exercises, then walking. In fact, they're on the danjohnuniversity.com workout generator. We have an entire area now that supports that. It's called the Fat Loss Workout Generator, and it's incredible. It's what I do. I do have a couple of questions. How many days a week would you suggest using the program? This is going to be a great answer. Secondly, I have a sort of limit of resources at home, some kettlebells and dumbbells. I am trying to limit my gym time during this time to 1 or 2 days a week. Okay. The workout generator is designed to answer that question, this first part. So what you could easily do is put in the resources you have at home and whatever resources you have at the gym and time. So I recommend doing this up to 5 times a week, but you have to understand something. 2 of the days of the week are 1 set of a push, pull, hinge, and squat, and then mobility work in between before the walk. And it's a very tonic, restorative kind of thing. You wouldn't think it, but I learned this as a young athlete. Sometimes the best thing to do when you're sore is the thing that cause your soreness. So if you got really sore doing doing front squats, 3 sets of 8, which will get you sore. The next day doing a light set of 1 set of 8 with a goblet squat, kettlebell goblet squat, kind of releases things. 3 days a week, the hypertrophy work, 3 sets of 8, you take it seriously, those are the hard days. 2 days a week, 1 set with mobility, keep that mobility alive in your body, and you go out and walk. That's the best bang for the buck you're ever going to get in fat loss. Hypertrophy, mobility, and strength work, followed by the cardio. I think it's the way to go. I sure hope I'm right, because it seems to be working for everybody, and B, I can't believe the changes myself. What deadlift exercise or hinge would you suggest or is the best if I'm not able to get to the gym to use a barbell? Well, again, sorry, I'm redundant. The workout generator, you just keep finding the options with the equipment you have. It can be something as easy as standing next to a wall and doing that wall RDL. Sometimes it's called the dipping bird. There's 100 exercises. The hip thrust is a great one to throw in. I love the hip thrust. The Bulgarian goat bag swing is wonderful. My YouTube channel. Just go to that hinge section and collect from there. Butt roll. This is why we designed that site, is to take care of these kinds of questions. Good luck. I'm doing the same thing. I hope you like it. We have a question from Brian. He says, the company I work for is doing a push-up challenge for 3 months in which you separate into teams and keep track of all the push-ups your team does during the workday. You're getting paid to work out, brother. You're a professional. And compete against other teams in the office. I currently do easy strength and enjoy the simplicity and the results I'm getting, but I'm new to this company and they know I'm into health and fitness, so I'd like to participate. Brian, I want you to participate. This is great. Is this going to negatively affect my training, or is there a way I can space the reps out and be able to continue doing this? First off, make sure your easy strength is the vertical press, vertical pull, and the deadlift. Think of the push-ups. Use that style we call grease the groove. What I would do is, it might be too late, but I would figure out what your max push-up is within reason. I mean, maybe you can do 100 or whatever, but find a number that is infinitely repeatable for you. For me, I have noticed that, and I do the proper push-up. That's where you come down, hit the ground, put your hands out to the T, bring it back underneath, and push. For me, my sweet spot on proper push-ups is 8. I think I could do 8s. I mean, to save the world, I could do them every 15 minutes all day long to save the world. No other reason. There's that one workout I had to do where I did 8 goblet squats, 20-meter sled push, 8 proper push-ups, and I did 20 loops of that. So 160 push-ups, in just a short amount of time. Find a number, like I have the 8. It could be 10, whatever. The nice thing about 10 is the math is going to be so much easier. Just do that little, the old thing from my youth, 4/4/. And try to get yourself into a bit of a rhythm. I would set, if you have one of these, this is called, this is weird. This is a telephone, but inside of it, there's all these devices to help you. I would suggest maybe either a timer or an alarm clock. Set your alarm clock that, say, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30. It goes bing, 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 and every time you hear the bing, 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 it's 10 push-ups. You might find that too easy and your numbers get down. You might move it to every 20 minutes or even every 15 minutes. And if you and your team want to win, every 10 minutes, okay? And you're just gonna knock those push-outs up, jump up, go back to work. You might find actually, and this will be interesting, that your work productivity is going to go up, because we know this from research from the 1950s with Morehouse in the game. It was called end spurt productivity. They discovered that a lot of sales happened at 10 minutes to noon. A lot of work got done at 15 minutes to 5. When you're up against a time, you tend to work a little harder, a little smarter. So hey, who knows? Not only you get to win the push-up contest, but you'll become the boss. Brian, thank you. That was a fun question to answer. We have a question from Jeff. Jeff, not Goff. In a relatively recent podcast, you mentioned that young female athletes with knee issues saw improvements by doing farmer walks backwards up a hill. You skipped that part. That's really important. Farmer walk backwards with the sled does the same thing. It works the horseshoe muscles around the knee. And we discovered that at discus camp a long time ago. We were doing it as a joke, seeing who could make each other's life, the most miserable. And I figured out that walking backward up a hill started a burn that was just unstoppable. We had a couple female athletes start playing with the game, and one of them had an ACL that had been repaired. And she just turned and said, "This is the best my knee has felt in a long time." Boop. Yeah. Game changer. How do you program this exercise? My knees are pretty gimpy, and while I'd like to just add backward hill walks to my daily routine, I'm in the flatlands. There aren't any hills or stadiums that are close enough to be convenient. Let me just tell you what you do. Go to Lowe's. I don't support Home Depot anymore. Go to Lowe's, buy they sell wheelbarrow shells. They're green. Loop a rope through it. Loop that through your belt. Throw some garbage. And I used to use broken pieces of cement, but you can throw weights, kettlebells, dumbbells, or your children if you have them, and just practice walking backwards with that. I have such fun memories of that green shell. One day I was throwing weights in there, and I noticed that the bottom had completely rusted out. It had gotten so much harder in the last week. I thought I was getting weaker, but because it had been out in the elements for so long, with junk on top of it, it had rotted the bottom out, and the pieces of concrete and the old broken weights and stuff were catching as you pulled. You might want to replace it before then. Jeff, this is a good question. Thank you. We have a question from Sean. Sean says, I'm a 28-year-old former D1 football player, and I have experience in weightlifting, powerlifting, and hardstyle kettlebell training. I stand 6 feet tall and weigh around 230 pounds. I'd like to know your school and your position. My all-time PRs on the super total are 565 deadlift, 435 squat, 315 bench press, 275 clean and jerk, and 215 snatch. So good numbers. I am currently finishing up 2 months of your 2 days a week program, and I never realized I needed some time to recover and sharpen skills elsewhere in life. While I still love to have the strength and explosiveness of a fullback, probably played fullback, my passion for outdoor adventure, hiking, cycling, climbing, cross-country skiing, has left me in a bit of a conundrum. What type of training program would you recommend to someone who wants to remain powerful and explosive in the weight room while also having the endurance to enjoy long days in the mountains? Sometimes I joke about this continuum. Strength is over here and endurance is over here. And for a long time, we felt it was impossible to find that middle area. I'll tell you, if you are doing the 2 days a week training, it does give you 5 days a week to do your conditioning. I don't see a problem with that at all. I would suggest, and this is just, you're 28, your recovery is going to start to, you'll notice at about 20 a little bit, but I'd recommend on the 2 days a week you lift, after you lift, I would do some of your conditioning components then. And then pick 1 or 2 other days a week where you're not lifting and make those your the really, really, really long day, one of those, and the other day the really, really intense day. So after you lift, do some kind of conditioning, and then have the one longish day, whatever that means to you. Cross-country skiing, it's really easy to get a long day in. It just seems natural. Bicycling seems like a real natural one to get a long day in. And then the other day, your intervals, your intense work, whatever intense means to you at this time. Sean, let me know how it goes and get back to me, okay? We have a question from Andy. From reading Easy Strength, and you got the book. It's hard to find that book now, isn't it? I noticed you advocated training in 2-week blocks. Would you still recommend this? And would this way of training be a way to maintain strength, or would there be a progression to it? Oh, there's an absolute progression to it. And if you don't have much experience, we don't do the 2-week blocks. Couple things, Andy. First, what if I told you there's a chance that Easy Strength is being rewritten in its entirety? Maybe I'll answer this question there. But until then, so my favorite thing, I use the example for shot putters. 2 weeks of bench press, 2 weeks of incline, 2 weeks of decline, 2 weeks of military. Repeat. And the reason you do that same but different stuff is because, yeah, it keeps you fresh, but also, too, you want those variations to support each other. That decline bench is subtle enough of a change to, I don't like the way I'm about to say this, but you're going to attack the nervous system, you're going to attack the muscles at a different angle, and that seems to help. If you do goblet squat, overhead squat, front squat, back squat, after you've back squatted, doesn't always work with Easy Strength, but after you've done certain things, coming back to something else just seems so much easier. Like when I would do those long periods of using the overhead squat as my base squat movement, when I went back to front squats, it was like a vacation. Even though the load was much heavier, I wasn't having that nervous system shakeout that you get when you're trying to overhead squat. So Andy, good news, the book's coming back out. And then the other good news, depending on your experience, if you have a lot of experience, yes, absolutely. If you don't, we stick longer to the single lifts. Okay, we have a question from Bill, and I think Bill is asking a lot of questions. So let's get through, Bill. We should charge you. Send you a bill. Okay, Bill asks, first question. You are a fan of loaded carries and usually seem to mean farmer carries. I mean everything. Backpack carries. I include sleds, prowlers, carrying bags, everything. Why are you not a bigger fan of one-handed suitcase carries instead? That's not true at all, Bill. After my work with Stu McGill, Stu told me that's probably the single, I gotta be careful, but it might be one of the single best exercises you can do. I recommend it constantly. Wader walks, rack carries. If you read my work, 40 years with a whistle, attempts, I recommend suitcase carries all the time. We have a workout called the Spar Hawk, which combines goblet squats with suitcase carries. You do 8 goblet squats, you carry the load, suitcase carry, somewhere. 7 goblet squats, switch hands, bring it back. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, I'm a huge fan of them, Bill. They're very important. Maybe more important than formal walks. 2, speaking of loaded suitcase carries, do you think it is better to do them in sets, left times 50 feet, right times 50 feet, or out and back? Yeah, I'm a big fan of out and back with all loaded carries so that the load comes back to the start. Years ago, I had to punish a military guy for not paying attention all the time. So I had him in this really, really difficult loaded carry out. And then when we got to the bridge, which maybe half a mile away, I said, good, that's excellent. That's what I needed you to do. And then I said, I'll meet you back at the house where you could smell the steak and burgers and chicken and sausage and bratwurst. It was a pretty good meal. And I said, oh, one thing, just carry everything back. So if it took him, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to carry the load out, it took him half hour, 45 to bring it all back. So I'm a big believer of that. That way, as the coach, I don't have to pick it up and carry it back too, because yeah, it's good for me, but after a while, it's exhausting. We got a third question. Speaking of one-sided exercises, it seems like you have a strong preference for kettlebell front squats with 2 hands. Why not 1 hand at the time? Because the goblet squat. I used to do a lot more single side kettlebell front squats, but you're constantly having to make sure that chin, sternum, zipper, C, S, Z. When you're doing single-sided work, you want to make sure that those things line up exactly in a straight line. A lot of people start to do, well, either this or all kinds of movement. And I just like built-in symmetry. That's why I like the overhead squat so much. If you are asymmetrical, the exercise demands that you fix it. It's not a fan thing. It's not like I love them or hate them. I just moved away from them. Number 4, which leads to 1-arm swings and presses versus 2-arm swings and presses. I'm a big fan of one-handed presses for the same reason I just said, symmetry. If you go to press and you swing away with one hand and don't with the other, well, a question comes up, why are you doing that? And very often, the why is just maybe it could be something that's technically a weakness, or you got some injury chain. Very often, we call it the rule of the X. Right arm, left leg, and left arm, right leg. For throwers, our right arms and left legs tend to be usually much stronger and much more injured because those are when you break, when you block and throw the implement, the left leg becomes much stronger. So what happens when you press, sometimes you can see the athlete sliding onto that left leg because that's what they do. One-arm swings I'm not a fan of because of the asymmetrical issues, but I know what, people love them. I just think, I watch people online, people I know, people who are certified kettlebell instructors, and I watch their technique, and it's rubbish when it's one-sided, but what can I do? Number 4, the only reason I do that has any twisting is Turkish get-ups. Any good reason to add something like Russian twists? You got to really be good at them. Pavel and I spent the better part of half an hour him trying to teach me how to do it. Now, I'm a Highland gamer, a hammer thrower, a discus thrower. I know how to do these things. I couldn't figure it out. I don't believe in training rotation in the gym. I believe in training anti-rotation in the gym, and I get my rotational work out on the field of play. I'm leery of I'm leery of including that sort of load to my back since I don't plan to throw the discus anytime soon. As Stu taught me years ago, the best exercise I can do for my discus throwing is suitcase carries, the question you asked earlier. And number 6, you never mention loaded windmills. Do you not care for them? Well, if you go onto my YouTube channel, you see that I actually have a whole bunch on windmills. I teach them inserts. Again, Bill, you're putting me down this road that's not true. I mean, we do loaded windmills. We just don't include them very much. We have an exercise on the YouTube channel called Windmill Sticks, which I think is far better. What do I think of them? I think they're another exercise. Here's the thing. It's a twisting hinge, and you better do it right if you got load over your head. If not, can something bad happen? Yeah. You could drop the load. But also, too, if you're not doing it right, there's an outside chance you might end up regretting that decision. A lot of people I see online doing them are basically doing a yoga move, and it's not actually what we would look for in the kettlebell windmill. Again, go to the YouTube site, type in windmills, you'll find my stuff there. Hey, thank you for listening. Reminder, if you have a question, email us at podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer every question. Sometimes we get repeats, but honestly, that's okay. because I know no one wants to listen to 66 hours of podcast to get their question answered. So thank you, and I'm here to help.